Uh, Good morning, everyone. I welcome Venkat sir. Venkat sir has over 15 years of industrial experience spanning data science, cloud, project management, sales, and consulting. He has played leadership role in various domains such as BFSI, betting and gaming, and travel. Venkat's strength is enabling data-driven strategies for business and delivering IT programs to scale. His keen interests are in cloud, big data, machine learning, business intelligence, and open source technologies. Venkat is a content builder and tries working in high pressure environment. He is conversant as functional and technical experts, having built and delivered complex data platform solutions. He has been consistently rated in top 5 throughout his career. I welcome you, sir, for this
Thank you,
session.
sir. Thank you. So I see students are still joining. Is this like their first day of engineering, or have they started?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now only they are joining. First years. It's for first year. Presentation is for first year, sir.
Okay, that is nice.
Uh,
So let me know, sir, when I can start. I will start. Maybe we can give 2 minutes.
at 10:05 we will start the session, sir.
Okay.
Balamurugan, please stop sharing. Around 45 to 50 students will join, sir.
Sure, sir.
Actually, they are new to Google Meet. That's why they don't know. Balaji, please off your video. Arsha Priya, please off your video.
No problem. No problem. I totally understand.
Whereas second years and all, they are in Google Meet only. Phila Mary, please off your video, ma. Mary. Balamurugan, mute your mic.
Has everybody reached campus, or they're all still remote?
Sir?
Have they all reached campus, or
no? They are in home only, sir. Actually, here still they not yet give permission to open the college.
Okay.
Corona cases also not yet reduced, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Maybe after September 21, all the schools they have open like that. Message came.
Okay.
So maybe after September they will open the college. This may be the scenario here.
Right, sir. I think over 59 people I can
Yes,
see.
sir. Yes, sir. They reached maximum limit reached, sir. Shall I Once again, introduce yourself, sir.
I will introduce myself. No problem, sir.
Yeah, okay.
I'll.
You can share the screen, sir.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, sir. Proceed. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Just let me know once the screen is visible.
Yeah, please. Yes, sir. Your screen is visible.
Which slide are you able to see, sir?
The journey begins. The first line.
Okay. So, good morning to one and all. Uh, my name is Venkat. I am based out of UK. I work in a company called Persistent Systems. This is a listed company in India, IT services company, and I head the pre-sales and solutions for Europe. I have over 15 plus years of industry experience in the field of information technology, computer science, and applying data and product solutions to my customers. Uh, I am also an engineering graduate like you. I passed out in the year 2003, when most of you would have been born in that year. So this is the first batch to whom I can proudly say that your age is my experience. So welcome to the engineering world. And post my engineering, I did my MBA from an institute called IIM Lucknow. You might not have heard of it, but I think over a period of time, you will start knowing, what is MBA and what are the higher education options. So, in today's presentation, I'm going to cover some of the things that you can do the next 4 years, right? Some tips. Think of it as not as an advice, but things that I have found useful in my engineering days and what I have seen in the industry, and how you can make use of this unique opportunity in the next 4 years to make yourself as better individuals and also equip yourself to be uh, good employees in the future, right? Or become entrepreneurs or
Sir,
take up
your
higher
screen is
studies.
not visible.
Sir,
Sorry?
screen is not visible. Your screen is not visible, sir.
Okay, let me reshare again.
Kishore, please off your video.
So what will happen is if somebody else tries presenting, my screen share will
Yes,
automatically go.
yes,
So,
yes. Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
just ensure that you don't press the share button on your screens.
Students,
Okay?
please don't press your present screen, okay? Share screen like that. Don't press anything. Then only share screen will be visible. And another one thing is please off your video as well as mic. Please mute yourself. Don't touch anything other than that. Okay. Please.
Sir, there is disturbance in the class.
Yes.
There is some disturbance in the class. Songs are.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, sir. Visible. Please.
Right. So many of you would be coming from different backgrounds, different abilities, different towns, and different experiences. But one thing that you might all have commonly heard during your 12th standard examination and prior to that is your parents telling that do well in your 12th and your life is set, right? So prepare well, do all your hard work, somehow get good marks in your 12th standard, get a good engineering college seat, and then your life is set. One thing they have forgotten to tell you is your life is not set, it is a comma, right? It is not a full stop. Your life actually begins from now on.
Sir, voice is
See, we are not able to hear your voice, sir. Your voice is muted. No, your voice is muted, sir.
Uh, Okay. So what is happening is, Dilipan sir, when you're muting for everyone. It
Yeah,
mutes
yeah,
me
yeah.
also.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry, sorry.
No problem. No problem. So these are all the challenges that everybody are going to face going forward. So
Your screen is not visible.
yeah, yeah, I have to reshare again. I will reshare. Are you able to see my screen now? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes. You can
Okay.
continue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So let me start again. Let's try now. So just ensure that nobody shares the screen and nobody mutes me. Then again, we will have to start from the beginning. Okay. Uh, so most of you would have come from different backgrounds, different states, different towns, and different abilities, and also different experiences, right? But one thing that would have been common is your parents advising that 12th standard exam is the most important exam of your life. So many of you would have done a lot of hard work thinking that that is the end point in your life, but that is actually the beginning point, right? So your journey begins from here. So one thing that is very, very, very unique about this batch, right? That is the 2020 batch, uh, is you're the first batch which is starting your engineering course during a black swan event. A black swan event is an event which shakes the entire world. So this COVID coronavirus pandemic has shaken the entire world. You're starting your journey right now, and that is only going to make you more and more resilient, right? What I mean by that is, when I started my engineering in 1999, information technology and computer science industry was undergoing a boom. At that time, there was a big event called the Y2K event, and there was something called VoIP as a technology, which is voice over internet protocol. What you're experiencing today, where you can make a WhatsApp call or a Skype call or a Google Meet call, that was a luxury those days. So speaking over internet was not something that was easily possible. So that was when the technology called VoIP was coming up. And then there was a big event called the Y2K event that was also coming up in the year 2000. So IT industry was undergoing a huge boom in the 1990s, and engineering as a subject was a very attractive subject because people used to get jobs quickly, and it was a very lucrative career. So I started my career, my engineering during that time when IT industry was booming. But by the time I finished my engineering in 2003, there was a huge recession. A lot of my batchmates were not able to land a job immediately. So we were undergoing a crisis. So that was the first crisis that I had seen. And that was post my engineering. The second crisis that I saw was in the year 2008, 2009. It was a crisis called the subprime mortgage crisis. And all of this I will probably explain in detail in a later session. The entire financial industry, the banks, were under a lot of stress between the year 2008 to 2010. The bank that I was working, their share prices dropped by more than 90%. Their loans were becoming bad. So they were facing a lot of losses, and many banks had to be consolidated and taken over. So that was another major recession that I saw. So every time you see a challenge, an economic downturn, it only makes you stronger because you will know how to navigate through all of this. You guys are very lucky because you're undergoing that crisis straight away. I wouldn't have imagined engineering subjects being taught remotely if coronavirus was not there. We wouldn't have thought that we will be in the situation even 6 months earlier. So this is a great opportunity for you all to become more and more resilient, right? So if you are able to do your engineering courses well and come out with flying colors, you will be the trailblazers in this domain because you will be setting an example for your juniors and the next set of folks who are going to come in later on, say next year and the year after that, that yes, we can do online learning successfully, right? So keep that in mind. You have a big responsibility to show that you can be successful even during remote learning. Second is responsibility. I think next year, so most of you would be towards the end of your teenage stage, right? Most of you would be between 16 to 18 or 16 to 19 now when you're entering into college. You would be making, in these 4 years, you're going to make a transition from a teenager to a responsible adult. And one of the first signs of responsibility is also going to happen next year. You know what I'm talking about, right? So the moment you turn 18, you would be eligible for voting in the elections. So which means you're going to become responsible citizens very, very soon. From a very well protected child to a teenager to now a responsible adult, that's going to be a big transition. You will be bombarded with a lot of news, emotions, forward messages, etc. You have the unique opportunity to turn responsible very, very quickly, right? So that is the second lucky thing that is happening for you. So first is being resilient in a COVID time, in a COVID like pandemic situation. Second is the responsibility of deciding the future of the state and the nation is also going to be thrust on you very, very quickly now. So during this engineering days, you're going to make the transition. So with that in mind, I want to give a few, you can take it as an advice or tips. The digital footprint that you're going to create in these 4 years is very, very important, right? It is going to make a profile of yourself in terms of how you are going to be characterized over a period of time. Many people here would be using Netflix, YouTube, Hotstar, etc. So there is a phenomenon called infinite browsing. So what I mean by infinite browsing is the moment you watch a video on YouTube, there is a recommendation that keeps coming below, right? Depending on the content that you have just watched. If you have watched a particular, video meme, or if you have watched a particular song of some music director or of some actor, accordingly, your recommendation also builds up. There are tons and tons of algorithm that profiles you basis your likes, your dislikes, what are you commenting on, what kind of content are you watching, where are you clicking. So basis that, every search engine builds a profile of you and it will start throwing content. The problem with this is the content and the recommendation is so powerful that you will not be able to come out of that circle. So you will watch one video, then you will go on to next video and you will keep going on. And by the time you realize, you would have spent 2 to 3 hours doing nothing but just watching all these programs. So it becomes an addiction, right? So that is one. Second, things that we do for fun online also gets tracked. What I mean by that is, if somebody has shared a meme or a status and you go and like it, then accordingly you will get profiled. I have heard about, you can just Google this up. For certain applications, for certain visa applications, you are supposed to even declare what is your social handle, what is your Twitter profile, what is your Facebook profile, and so on. And people check that. Nowadays, I know that before job interviews, people do check what is your LinkedIn profile, what is your social footprint, to form an opinion about you, right? So just like the way we dress up properly, we groom properly, and we come to a college or an interview, we have to ensure that the footprints that we are leaving, right, on the digital side is taken care of, and it projects a very good image of yourself. So please be conscious of what you're doing online and ensure that you don't waste too much time online, because it is extremely addictive. So that's my first advice. The second thing that I would like to leave you with is, you guys are in computer science department. Most of you might be ending up in an IT job, right? In an IT industry, maybe Infosys, TCS, whatever be the company that you choose. There is a study that says that sitting is the new cancer. Okay, people sit for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours continuously in front of the laptop, and they keep working throughout. Your sleep cycles also change once you start working, because you might be working in the US time zone, so you will have to be awake all night doing some support activity for some applications or softwares. Now this is percolating to your engineering days also. So today, because of pandemic, even fifth standard, sixth standard in school itself, people are starting online classes. So they are sitting in the same place, looking at the LCD monitor for hours together, right? So it is very important that you pick up an active hobby during these 4 years. I'm given to understand that Kalasalingam campus is a beautiful campus. So you can take up jogging, hiking in and around the Srivilliputtur place, or you can take up cycling, whatever be it. Have an active hobby. I'm telling this from experience because I have seen people in their 30s, 31, 32 years, people less than 40 years having, spondylitis, which is neck pain, then back pain, spinal injuries, and some of them even having heart attacks and so on, because it's a very stressful job. And on top of that, if you're going to sit for a long period of time with no activity, that is not going to help your health at all. So ensure that in these 4 years, you have a active hobby, which can be just for 15, 20 minutes a day. And always try to take a break and look away from the screen for some time, right? So don't be continuously looking at the monitor for a long, long time. There are many apps today in your mobile which will track how much time you spend on the mobile phone. If it is anything more than 30 minutes, then you're wasting your time, right? So just ensure that you have an active lifestyle. The third thing that I wanted to talk to you about is teamwork. Individually, you might be superstars, right? You can get distinction marks, you can do some programming languages very well, or you might be very good in subjects. That's all great from an engineering perspective. You can still be a highly individualized or an individual, high performing individual who can get a distinction and pass out of engineering college. But in real life, right, even though I can code very well, if the person who's deploying my code makes a mistake, or the quality engineer who's testing my code makes a mistake, the blame falls on the entire team that has worked on that software, right? So in real life, in your jobs, there is no one man hero, right? It is always teamwork. Cultivate that habit right from your engineering days itself. Okay, you're only as strong as the weakest link in the class. So what I mean by weakest link is, if somebody is struggling to understand a concept or is weak in a particular subject, ensure that you help them out. Okay, I used to do it when I was in my engineering college, because that helped me to also form a group beyond my comfort zone. So it is very easy for people to form small groups with whom they are very comfortable. They might be from the same school or same town or same district, but try to break that shackle and try to have a wider group, so that you understand, you gain more knowledge from each other. So ensure that you help out your friends, form good study groups, study circles, and if God forbid, if somebody has is not able to clear a particular paper or is not able to understand particular concepts, ensure that you take that extra mile and help them out, right? So always remember that that is one trait that will help you in real life also. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is taking up challenges, right? So the challenges can be as simple as, can I go and speak to a stranger, for example, right? You're going in a bus, you want to strike a conversation with a stranger. Can you do that? Do not be shy, right? Do not be in your comfort zone. Try to break that shackle, make new friends. Try to also improve your public speaking skills. Like, can you go to a stage and speak for 5 minutes on a given topic? All that will improve your confidence over a period of time. College is the only place where you can try out all this, because at best it is just your friends who are going to laugh at you, right? But if you don't practice it in college, in real life it is going to become even more challenging, because you will not get a comfort zone to practice all these uncomfortable things. So take up challenges, do things that you have not done before in the next 4 years. The next thing that I wanted to tell you about is communication, right? Fortunately or unfortunately, engineering course is a professional course. It is going to be taught in English. The jobs that you might end up doing and if you end up in a multinational company, or tomorrow if you're going to go abroad for any projects, you will need decent communication skills. uh, Many people in the college will be from different backgrounds. They might have studied in, say, a different medium of instruction, maybe Tamil medium or Telugu medium, or they might have come from English medium, but however, they might not have practiced speaking in English. Just ensure that you are able to correct that here, because in a job interview, it is not going to be, I mean, most of the job interviews are in English if you're going to, apply for an IT job. So ensure that you are able to speak decent English. I'm not saying grammatically good English or with high sounding words. Simple English, but with confidence. So the way to do that would be conduct debates amongst yourself, do group discussion, read newspaper aloud, or read a particular story and then come and tell it in your own words in front of the class. So try to enhance your profile and ensure that you work on your communication well. 4 years is a good enough time to improve your communication. Why I am harping on this is whenever I take interview, I still find that people are not very confident to express themselves, and that becomes a problem later on. Problem in the sense it's a bit of a challenge, especially if you have to be exposed to a client, which is say a US client or a UK client. You should have that confidence to communicate just enough so that he is able to understand. And I see a lot of people struggling. So ensure that you pick up that skill while you are in college. Next is problem solving skills, right? While theory and engineering courses and passing those courses with flying colors is all great, applying that theory for a real world problem is where problem solving skills comes in. How many of you have heard about this company called Dropbox? Has anybody heard about this company called Dropbox?
Yes,
Am I
I
audible?
have heard.
You have heard. Okay. So the story is very simple. And there are many inspiring stories like this. The person who found Dropbox was a university graduate just like you are. When he used to go to the university back in 2007 2008, he used to forget his USB key. You know what is a USB key, right? So to copy files, you will use a 12 gig or a 24 gig small thumb drive. So he used to copy the files. So he used to go home, work on his assignments, finish his Word document presentations, and then he used to copy it on the thumb drive so that he can take it for submission to the next day to his university. But what happens is that usually he will forget his thumb drive at home. So every day he will go to the university and then he will think, oh, I forgot my submission. I forgot to bring my files today. So that was a very practical problem, which not only him, but a lot of his friends were also facing, right? So that is when he thought, why don't I make a simple solution where instead of carrying the files in a CD or in a thumb drive, why don't I just upload it to cloud and then have an interface where once I go to the university, I log on to the internet and I copy the files, right? Very simple solution. Or what you would have done, you would have just mailed it to yourself, go to your college, access your email, and then download it and submit it. So it was a very simple solution that he started building, and that became a massive hit, right? He started sharing that software with all his friends, and then it became a commercial software. Today it is valued in billions and billions of dollars, right? So try to think logically and apply your engineering skills to solve a very practical problem that you come across. Okay. It can be anything. It can be a simple scheduling problem within your college, right? If there is a lab which has only say 10 equipments, and there are 50 people who needs to use that equipment, you can simply put an online calendar which people can go and book. It's a very simple practical problem that you're trying to solve. Or if you want to know what is the menu in your canteen upfront, you can digitize that. Or if you want to order upfront, you can digitize that. So look around and see what are the small problems that you can solve using the engineering knowledge that you have gained, right? You never know. There might be something which will become a widespread problem for which you can find a solution, and maybe some of you can become entrepreneurs in the future, right? So problem solving is a very important skill. Next is uh, actively participate in competitions that are there, right? It can be inter-college festivals. It can be inter-college competitions, like, paper. You have to submit a paper or present a thesis or present a paper. Or it can be hackathons. I don't know if you have heard about hackathons. Hackathons is where a problem is given, and then you'll have to go and use your coding skills to solve that problem. Just Google up something called Smart India Hackathons. So the Indian government also, comes out with all these hackathons or problems that they want engineering graduates to come and solve. And these competitions also have a prize money, and it gives you very good visibility in the future. I know a few engineering graduates who have won such hackathons. So it is a level playing field. So try to start thinking about this. You have 4 years. Just keep watching this space. What are the various hackathons that are happening, and see which ones are interesting enough for you to enter into. Whether you win or not is different. It will give you a very, very different experience, right? Internships, very important. That will come around your, I think probably in your second, third, and fourth year. But have an eye out for this. Build contacts locally in the industry. Watch out for any internship that you can land. There are a few websites that you can access, which talks about various internships that might be available. If you're not lucky enough to get an internship, no problem. See what are the practical problems you can solve, like I said earlier, within your college environment itself. Maybe you can make your college website better, or you can, create an application where online content is being delivered to engineering graduates from your college. So there can be some practical problems that you can solve, which you can show as internship. So keep an eye out for that. TED Talks. Google up what is a TED Talk. These are talks that are held in various disciplines like science, education, history, etc. Even if you watch 1 hour of a good TED Talk, which is all about technology per week, it means that you would have gained about 200 plus hours of knowledge over a period of 4 years, which is very good from an interview perspective. So you can use that knowledge to talk about what are the various technology aspects that are coming up in the market, where the world is moving, how AML is, artificial intelligence and machine learning is shaping up the world. So if you want to talk about all these things in interviews, in debates, or generally to help yourself from a communication perspective and to widen your knowledge, watch a lot of online content on TED Talks and other webinars. Concentrate on getting some good creative and logical thinking also. So there are different ways to do it. So one way that I try to use logical thinking or upskill myself from a logical thinking perspective is in the math domain, in the mathematics domain. I look at a website called projecteuler.net. So these are simple maths problems to solve, right? It talks about, say, which is the 1 millionth Fibonacci series, or can you tell me the largest 12-digit prime number, for example, right? Now, when you try to answer that question programmatically, so you might open up a Python environment, and you might want to start coding in Python. Usually you will start off with what I call as brute force, right? So brute forces, you will write a loop from 1 to 1 million, and then keep adding and figure out what is the Fibonacci number. But then over a period of time, you will understand that as the complexity of the problem increases, your machine will not be able to run certain algorithms. So that is where you will be forced to think creatively and logically to solve a problem, wherein you're constrained by your machine time, and you will have to look at alternate means of coming out with an algorithm, right? So try to improve that thinking aspect also. Connect the dots. If you're solving if you're answering a question, or if you're learning a concept, always connect the dot as to how this will be applied in real life. Where am I seeing this in action in real life or in the industry? How is this going to help me? So start questioning like that, right? That is the only way you can improve creative and logical thinking. Next is question, right? This is a very trivial thing, but never be shy of asking a question. The person whom you are asking the question may or may not know the answer. It can be your friend, it can be your lecturer, it can be your mentor, it can be anybody. But ask questions. Do not think that by asking a question, I will be, looking like somebody who doesn't know anything. No, that is, never think that asking a question will make you feel stupid. Not at all. If you don't ask that question, for lifelong, you will have that inhibition to ask a question and you will never be able to widen your knowledge. Maybe you asking that question will help somebody else because someone else is shy to ask the question. He will also have the same doubt, but you are asking on everybody's behalf. So the knowledge also gets shared. Ask question with the intent of seeking knowledge, not for testing the other person, right? There is always a difference. With so much of online content available, it might so happen that you might read up something and then you would want to, show off that knowledge in front of someone and ask a question. That should not be the intent. The intent of questioning should be to seek knowledge, go beyond Google searches, right? Read actual books, make use of your libraries, journals, hard copies, etc. Don't just rely only on Wikipedia and Google for your knowledge. Actual knowledge is in the books, right? And use your lecturers as sounding boards and somebody who can, guide you towards the answer. They might not know all the answers, but they are definitely great guides in pointing to the right direction. And once you have that knowledge, share it with your friends. The next thing that you need to have as a trait is discipline, right? Be on time. So today we were supposed to start at 5:30 a.m. my time. So it is actually 6 a.m. right now, I think. Yeah, 6:10 a.m. But we started at 5:40, right? Which means we lost 10 minutes. And it is not just 10 minutes that is lost. It was 60 people's 10 minutes, which is 600 minutes that we lost. So 600 minutes translates to 10 man hours that we have lost. Start thinking like that, okay? Never think that, oh, I'm only 1 minute late. I'm only 30 seconds late to the class. No. Ensure that you are not the bottleneck for a class to start on time. This will help in a long way, in the long run. This is going to help you in making yourself as a very disciplined and groomed employee, right? So as a prospective employee, if I see that you're not able to make to the interview on time, that will create an impression, right? Within first 30 seconds, I will start having an impression about you. Okay, this guy is not meticulous. He is not paying attention to details. He is not able to even come on time, right? So ensure that you are highly disciplined. Think that 30 seconds, 1 minute and all does matter because, there are other people who are waiting for you. Their time is also precious. Think of it as a train leaving a station. So you will never be late for a train, right? Or you will never be late for a flight. Same way, you should not be late for classes. Okay, that discipline is extremely important. Make use of online learning content, right? There is so many good learning content available. When I was in engineering and when I wanted to skill myself in Java or C, C++, it took me a lot of time to skill because I had to go through books, I had to do a lot of exercises and so on. But now you have so much of good content, good lessons available online. Try to make use of that to skill yourself, right? Or further your horizon in terms of what is what. Like for example, when I was in first year, there was a subject on mechanical engineering, if I'm not mistaken, where there were topics around boilers and so on. At that time, imagining boilers was very difficult. But today, if you have to understand all those concepts of thermodynamics, you can actually go to YouTube and see how does a boiler look, how does it function. There are industry walkthroughs that has been captured on camera, which you can see, right? So it becomes a lot more easier to learn these days. So make use of that online learning content very well. The next 4 years, think of it as a place where you're going to build your resume, right?
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir. Your screen is not visible.
Okay, let me share again. But my voice was heard, right?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So next 4 years, ensure that it is not just engineering courses that you are studying, but you're also building a good story for yourself. So at the end of 4 years, you should have a solid LinkedIn profile and a good resume. So which means that you should have done some technical blogs. You might have participated in a few competitions. You might have upskilled yourself. So build that story. Think of it as doing a screenplay. And one of the most important advices that I received when I was in first year engineering, which was quite valuable for me, is never compare yourself with others ever. Okay, and I learned it the hard way. So after my first year results came out in my third semester, I stood second in the college. I got about 88.3% in my first year. And there was a person who got 88.8%, about 5 marks more than me, and she was the college first. So I was telling my engineering drawing professor, ED professor, that I want to beat that person in my third semester. The most simple question that he asked was, what if she scores only 70% next time? So will you be happy with just scoring 71%? Right? Now, why I'm telling this story is not to say that, okay, you have to, score good marks. I mean, marks will follow. But whether it is marks or whether it is anything else, right? Never compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with only you, right? Just ensure that you are bettering yourself as an individual, right? You are able to learn every day, and you are making every year, every semester, every day count. Whether you clear all the papers in the first attempt, whether you get distinction, that is all immaterial. Just ensure that you are bettering yourself as an individual day after day, right? And help your friends around. That is very critical. Uh, get a good mentor. That is very, very important, right? Try to see, and I can be mentor for a few people, but I'm sure you will come across a lot more people in the next 4 years. Try to have a role model whom you would want to bounce your ideas with. Try to get a mentor who can guide you in some of your your visions or goals that you might have. For example, in your second or third year, you might start thinking about higher studies. And if you want to do, say, higher studies in terms of going to the US, or within India itself, you might want to do, say, MTech or in anything, right? Just keep looking at your alumni network as to who are the people who have done it before. Try to reach out to them, get some guidance from them, get some career counseling. And if you want to crack a job in, say, Google, for example, try to speak to people through LinkedIn connects, through your network, to figure out how you have to prepare yourself to do something like that, right? So a mentor is very important. I was lucky enough to get good mentors in my life. So similarly, you should also find your mentor. Lastly, have a goal, have a vision. It is too early to say that this is what I'm going to become in the next 5 years or 10 years. Have a very open mind, but once you hit a goal, say by the end of second year or third year, once you decide what you want to do at the end of fourth year, is it going to be a job? Is it going to be a startup company? Is it going to be higher studies? You have to start preparing yourself. So at that time, have a vision and ensure that you're working relentlessly. Do not get distracted. As I said, there is enough distraction for people, for students these days, especially on the online world. So just ensure that you're extremely focused once you have a vision or a dream, right? So with that, I will just quickly summarize, and then we can have a open talk. So this is what we covered today for the last, I think, 47 minutes. So I have another 13 more minutes in the slot. So if you guys want to interact freely, please go for it. This is also to test whether one thing that I told you about not feeling shy to ask a question, how many people are going to actually implement it today?
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please tell the role of data scientist in some companies? There are people like data scientists, no?
Yeah. So
What is the role?
in a
What is the role of them?
yeah. So in very simple terms, right? A data scientist is somebody who will try to make interpretations from data. Let me give you a example, right? Um, so take this pandemic, this coronavirus, right? Every day we see that the numbers are increasing. Okay,
Right.
if we have to find any uh, actions that we need to take in order to bring the coronavirus pandemic or the what do you say the numbers down, what are the measures that we need to take? So there might be a measure that the government would have taken saying let's do a lockdown. So in that lockdown nobody should meet anyone, right? uh, People should stay indoors, they are not supposed to go out at all, and they implement this lockdown for say 14 days, and they track the number of positive cases for those 14 days. Now at the end of it, if they have to decide whether this lockdown was effective or not, right, a data scientist will come in, analyze the data and say that the lockdown happened on day 1, whereas the numbers have started decreasing say at the end of day 5 of the lockdown. So there is a lag between an action taken and the results coming in. So that is one interpretation he will make. The second thing is, instead of lockdown, if say the government does a different initiative after some time, the different initiative could be something like uh, people should start coming to work only on alternate days. So what will happen is the risk of exposure is immediately reduced by 50%. Okay,
Correct.
so they will form small bubbles and they will say year one, first year engineering can come this week, second year engineering second week, and then so on, right? So which means only if even if there is an outbreak, it will be only within that bubble of first year engineering. Now if they implement such a strategy and they want to know whether that works, a data scientist will try to map the data between this initiative and the numbers in the
Previous.
coronavirus pandemic, right?
Sir,
Then with this interpretation, he will then see which is the most effective measure that the government has taken. So a data scientist's job is to analyze lots and lots of data and try and make sense out of it. That is what a data scientist will do.
sir,
Thank
what
you.
is cyber
Thank you
security
so
and
much.
forensics?
So, sorry,
What is cyber security and forensics? What's the use of it? And how it will develop in
cyber
the
security and what is the next question?
forensics? Forensics.
Okay. So in very simple terms, right? Uh, if I have to, so cyber security, let me give a very naive or a very simple example. I have a website, right? And if I want to bring down that website, if there are suddenly a lot of good activity that is happening in the website, and people like my website, say my competition doesn't like my website because it is becoming popular, they might do a cyber attack in terms of I mean, this is not what will happen in real life, I'm just making it up, by giving in more and more requests for the web page. So this is what we call as say DDoS attack, denial of service attack, where instead of say 10 people accessing a website, suddenly millions and millions of people will access the website. You might have seen it during your 12th results, right? The results would have been published, and it would have taken at least 1 or 2 days before the site was functioning normal. Why? Because on a normal day in that results website, say 100 people would have logged in, but the day the result was coming out, there will be millions and millions of students who would be trying to access their 12th results, and then there will be a denial of service. So this can happen because of an event like 12th standard result. It can also happen because of some hacker somewhere trying to bring down that website. So how do you protect yourself from all of this is the cybersecurity subject area. It's a very interesting subject area. Okay,
Sir,
tech talk example. I can see one question around that. Um There are many good examples actually. If you like data visualization, just search for TED Talk on data visualization. There are many. It just says that, I mean, data visualization you might have seen in your 12th standard or 11th standard in terms of bar charts, pie charts, pivot tables. I don't know if you guys are comfortable on Excel sheets. So you might have done some product and so on. But you can visualize massive amounts of data on good charts, right? So see some TED Talks around data visualization, and there are lots. I mean, just go into TED Talk and start watching it. How software 4.0 is emerging. How social media campaigns are working. You When you browse, I don't know how what kind of websites that you guys are browsing in terms of news articles or, but if you go to any website, right, the ads that gets displayed will be different for different people. So if I go to indietv.com and you go to indietv.com or timesofindia.com, both of us will have the same news content, but sometimes even news content can be personalized basis what I like to read, but the ads will be very, very different. Some of the ads will be driven by what I have searched earlier. So if you go to Flipkart and search for, say, a particular mobile phone model, and then you go to a news website, you will see that the advertisement for that mobile phone will keep following you wherever you go. So see some TED Talks on how companies are doing social media campaigns, online advertising, personalization, right? Those are all very interesting concepts to understand, but it's too early. But still get exposed to these areas.
Sir, what is the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning, sir?
Very similar, right? It is about using algorithms to solve problems. I'm just thinking what could be a good example. So if you have gone to some websites, you might see some chat bots coming up. There will be a small message thing. If you click on that, you can chat with the agent, right? A lot of times these are not real agents you're chatting with. Okay, these are all AI bots, we call it as. So when you type in a question, it can understand the human language, okay, and it will try to reply programmatically. So that is called as natural language processing. All of that is driven by machine learning algorithms. Okay, so machine learning algorithms, artificial intelligence, all of these are very, very similar topics. A lot of statistical algorithms are involved, and I'm sure you will learn it in the second and third year. The simplest form of ML algorithm you can learn is an algorithm called linear regression. You might have heard about an equation called y is equal to mx plus c, right? Which is a xy axis straight line equation. That is nothing but linear regression. So you will start learning about that. That is all a part of ML.
Sir, how internet, smart cities and IoT will work in future generations?
Yeah.
How
Thank you,
smart
sir.
cities and IoT will work in future generations?
So it all is dependent on adoption. Many events are accelerating the adoption of IoT and smart city, etc. Initiatives even in India. So let me give you some examples. I'm sure you guys might not have a credit card payment method or debit card payment method, right? Because you're too young to have a card. But if you look at, say, 3 years back, before demonetization, there was a lot of cash transaction that was happening. People were reluctant to use their cards or online transfers. That adoption was very, very low. But the moment demonetization happened, that accelerated the adoption of digital payments. Same way, because of the pandemic situation, coronavirus, what I see in UK is, earlier people used to pay money, but in low numbers. Here the digital transactions are very high, but because you don't want to touch a currency that was touched by somebody else, because the virus can spread, now people are using Google Pay as a method everywhere, using NFC, near field communication, to do the payments. So some of these adoption from a IoT perspective or digital payment perspective or smart city perspective is also getting accelerated. And because of that, that will become a new norm. The moment people become comfortable using these modes, it will become a new norm. Okay. If you have used Fitbit, for example, which tracks your steps, if it's like a watch, a smart watch, which will track your steps, or Apple Watch, or any of these smart watches, that is nothing but an IoT device, because it keeps a track of your heart rate, your steps, etc., and then it syncs to your mobile. And then over a period of time, you can see how active you were in life. Okay. In my company and within my colleagues' circles also, people never used to track all these things. But because of our lifestyle, where we sit on a chair for a longer period of time, these IoT devices are helping them to track how active they are. And sometimes it also gives reminders saying that it's time for you to take a deep breath and go for a walk because you have been sitting for a long time. So your watch actually dictates your lifestyle. Sometimes it will also say you need to go and have some water because it's like 2 hours since you have water. So you can set reminders on your watch and all that. So that adoption is actually increasing in the last 2 to 3 years as I see it.
So does artificial intelligence and machine learning is similar to deep learning?
These are all various subjects within that entire spectrum of machine learning. Deep learning is just another advanced algorithm within the machine learning domain. So when you go into concepts like neural networks, that is where deep learning comes in. Simple example is, so if you are speeding on a highway, right, you will get a ticket or a notice saying that you're speeding on a highway. You will be given a fine. Or if you have jumped a traffic signal, has anybody experienced that? Somebody would have jumped a signal, and after say 2 weeks, there will be a letter from the RTO or the traffic police asking for a fine with a photograph of your vehicle jumping the signal. So I don't know if you have experienced that.
Yes.
So all that is through something called image processing. So there is a camera in that traffic signal which will keep sampling all the images. The moment it turns red and it sees that the vehicles are crossing that line, it will be able to read the image and then interpret the number that is there in the image, connect to the RTO office, look up the address, and then send that letter. Right? I don't have a letter right now handy, but I have got speeding tickets here also. So be it parking tickets, speeding tickets, traffic jumps, all of that is driven by AI/ML, where there is something called Vision API that runs at the back of it, which will be able to interpret the images, and then these are all practical applications of deep learning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is artificial intelligence very important to us?
Right now, that is the. I mean, many companies are trying to use artificial intelligence to solve, their problems. So it is good to learn. I mean, it is not the only thing to learn. It is one of the subdomains within computer science, right? So at the end of your engineering course, it depends on what you want to become or where you get hired. You can become a mobile full stack developer, right? When I say full stack developer, you can start making your own mobile application, website development, etc. Or you can become, software developer, wherein you work for product engineering companies, where you create products, like say Microsoft Word, Windows, etc. Right? Those kind of product companies also you can join. Or you can join companies which are specifically focused on AI/ML, for which you will have to pick up these skills. But AI/ML is not the only thing that is available for you at the end of CSE. No, there is application testing, there is application maintenance, there is product engineering, there is full stack development. There are tons of things that are available from an option perspective.
In future generation, which specialization has more demand in future generations?
When you say specialization within engineering, is it?
Yes.
So there is nothing like which has the best. It is about what you make it out to be, right? When we were passing out, almost everybody joined software company only. Nobody were joining, in industrial engineering, for example, or factories, etc. So it depends on where your passion is. So do not think of what is the trend in the market and go after that, because the trend keeps changing. As I said, in 1999, 2000 and all, it was all Y2K related stuff. Then it was VoIP. Then everything went for a toss. So don't go with what is the requirement today. Go with where your passion is, right? So if you like mathematics, if you like to use programming languages to solve real life problems, then maybe AML is your cup of tea. If you think that, okay, maths is not my strong area, but I would like to be very creative, then you can get into mobile app development and so on, right? Or if you say, let me create something else and make a company out of it, then you can always become an entrepreneur. So don't restrict yourself as to where the jobs are being there currently, because it might change after 4 years. So see what is that will what is that you're passionate about, and try to follow that.
Thank you.
Yeah, is it possible to recognize a picture? Then what is the use of reCAPTCHA? So reCAPTCHA. So what is happening is there are algorithms that can detect what picture it is. Like the famous example is the cat picture. There will be, say, 10 pictures shown, and the human has to figure out which of them are the cat pictures, and only then the website will allow you to register. And there are algorithms that are breaking it, and there are algorithms that are the reCAPTCHA software that is becoming better and better in terms of trying to beat the algorithm and stay one step ahead. So that's a very interesting domain, actually.
Sir, can robots
So
be
that is where
trained?
multi-factor authentication also comes in. So it is not just about saying whether you're a robo or not. Sometimes websites also say, I will send you an OTP pin to your mobile number, which is a different device altogether. That cannot be circumvented by a machine learning algorithm, because you need to physically have the device to know what is the number and then plug in the number to enter. So there are multi-factor authentication workarounds also for that. Okay, what do you think of what Peter told that employee to work from home hereafter? I have been working from home for the last 6 months. Many people have been working from home. I think that's a good thing. At least the cities will be less crowded and people will be more productive. So maybe that is the new norm. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Sir, can you please
Right.
tell about
I think-
hackathons?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Hackathon. Can you please mention some words about hackathon competition?
Yeah, so hackathon and data meetups and then data camps, code jams, these are all things that you can be a part of, or you can conduct yourself also, right? So you can form a group of friends who can just sit over a weekend and take up a problem and try to solve it in that 48 hours. So you can have like a coding marathon with 5 people or 10 people or whatever, break down a problem and try to come up with an application over a weekend. You need not wait for a hackathon to happen, right? So but hackathon widens your knowledge, because you might have solved the problem in a particular way. There might be 10 other people who would have seen the same problem and solved it in a different way, and that will widen your horizon, because there might be better solutions available which you might not have been aware of. So try to participate in as many hackathons as possible if time permits. Okay, I think we are at the top of the hour.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your valuable session, spending time for us, for your spending a lot of time with us. And the questions students are asking is very good. And what is the thing is, here we are having streams. 4 streams are there: IoT, data science, because artificial intelligence, like that. That's why students are asking a lot of questions. Which stream, where we have to like that. Students
No
are much.
problem. Okay, I didn't know that, sir. Sorry, because I at least back in the day when I was doing engineering, CSE was just one stream.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were 4 streams now.
Also, students are much exposed than us. In our time and all, it is CSE only. Now, past 2 to 3 years only, we are having streams like that. 4 streams are there. In that, they can choose anyone like that. It is. That's why students are much eager in asking which is best and which is like that. Very good of you, sir. Very kind of you. Thank you for your valuable time. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Very nice talking to you all. All the very best. Make use of your 4 years very well. I'm sure we will talk more in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Students, please
Thank you,
fill
sir.
the form.
Thank you, sir.
Students, please fill the form. I want everyone to fill the form. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dear students, a small announcement. The link for 11:10 session is open. Kindly stop, left from this meeting and join in that meeting. Link for 11:10 session is open.